It's the holiday season, and there's something very lovely about sitting down over this time of year and playing a game from your childhood. This year, I decided to jump into the real driving simulator Gran Turismo 2, and what I found was that there was pretty much the biggest mod ever released for this game, and it was released like 2 weeks ago. I'll be going through Gran Turismo 2 and the A-Spec mod, and we'll see if this is the GT2 mod of your dreams. So for starters, I'll be going through the brand new A-Spec mod for Gran Turismo 2, what it includes, and I'll also go through my experience playing Gran Turismo 2 itself, and I'll do a quick guide on how to install the mod, and also my settings to get this running well on an emulator and looking HD AF later in the video as well. So Gran Turismo 2 modding has been around for a while now, and we've seen some mods like the GT2 Plus mod being released, which has had a bunch of bug fixes and bringing in a lot of content that was cut before release. Now Gran Turismo 2 A-Spec is the new mod, and it goes a tiny bit further and includes a huge amount of updated cars, some models that were cut before release, as well as some brand new models that were never included in the game. Every car in the game was made in 1999 or earlier, and there's also some new brands included for the first time, including Lamborghini and their Diablo JGTC car. The Diablo itself was actually included in a demo of Gran Turismo 2, but was cut before the game was released, so this mod puts it back into the game. As well as a bunch of new cars in this mod, A-Spec also includes some new events. The main one for me is the Like the Wind event. It's a classic Gran Turismo race. It's like a draft oval slipstream kind of endurance race. So yeah, a lot of the content included in this mod is new content, but a lot of it was cut before release of the actual game. And that's one of the interesting things about Gran Turismo 2 and older games. You couldn't just patch a PlayStation 1 game. If content was kind of included, it needed to be finished on release and any bugs needed to be ironed out. This came out just before Christmas in 1999 for everywhere apart from Europe and Australia, and it was kind of rushed a bit over the line to get everything included in the game and released. One of the most famous bugs that was included is that it was actually impossible to get to 100% completion in the release version of the game. The highest percentage of completion you could get to was 98.2%, which I can just imagine would be so frustrating to have. You sweat the whole game, you put in so many hours, and then you just get stuck at 98.2%. You don't ever get to see the magic 100. The modders are constantly working on it. There is a bunch of kind of bugs that are showing up as we play, including one when I tried to put on racing modifications onto my Volkswagen Golf. Don't racing modification your Golf. Cool, so lots of new cars, some new events, and a lot of bug fixes. It's a whole lot of stuff for a mod, but is Gran Turismo 2 itself as a game worth jumping into? And I think it's worth acknowledging something first. I'd actually never played Gran Turismo 2 before about a week ago when I started playing this mod, and I've had a heap of fun playing it. I'm already at 25% completion. PlayStation 1 was a little bit before my time, and the first Gran Turismo game I owned was Gran Turismo 4, but jumping into GT2, I was a little bit skeptical as to if I would actually like it. The game is a lot less polished, in my opinion, than GT4 or even GT3, and the graphics don't hold up super well, and there's also like no hand holding in this game at all. When you load into GT mode for the first time, it just plonks you into the main map menu with 15,000 credits and a dream. There is no tutorial, no instruction or guidance or anything. It's like the game's just figure it out on your own, I guess. It is a bit scary starting the game like that, but once I got going, I actually found it a lot of fun. There is a huge amount of cars in this game, and I love how many options there are. Unlike the more modern Gran Turismo games, which are a little bit more balanced between Europe, the US, and Asia, the majority of Gran Turismo 2's cars come from Japan. And there is an amazing selection of 90s cars to get stuck into. I was jumping into all sorts of cool motor vehicles, like my Celica GT4, a Nismo-tuned Stagia, a Salady, and the 400R prototype, which is one of the new cars that is included in this mod. As a fan of that era of Japanese cars, this game is fantastic, and I had a lot of fun driving cars that I could never afford to drive in real life. Once upon a time, these cars were actually somewhat achievable in terms of price, but now an R34 GTR costs $230,000. So I'm glad I can have a skid of it in Gran Turismo 2 instead. There's also not as many tracks in this game as there are in the modern games, but there is a good bit of variety, and it is fun to race at some old venues like Red Rock Speedway and Seattle Circuit, even now that the Kingdome and the Aqueducts have been knocked down in real life. The driving physics aren't incredible, but it's relatively fun, and the racing itself is genuinely really close. There is rubber banding in this game, and it will make you go crazy though. Often you'll romp away from the field and they'll come crawling back to you as the race goes on, and sometimes they'll like catch up and pass you before the line. It's very annoying, but it's always a close race, I guess. The events are also really open in this game. While in the modern GT games there's a lot of restrictions about what cars you can take to enter in each event, in this game it's basically just horsepower restricted. This meant I was rocking up to the French National Championship in a Honda, or a Honda, which felt very illegal, but it got the job done, I guess. Otherwise, the game itself is a heap of fun. It has a slightly different progression to the newer games, where you're jumping in and out of the same series as you get better cars, and the license tests are incredibly infuriating, so be prepared to sweat for many hours to get all of the golds. Now, I'll go over quickly how to get Gran Turismo 2 A-Spec running. It's been my first experience actually emulating the PlayStation 1, but it has been fairly painless, I'll be honest. You'll need to use a PC for starters, and you'll want to jump onto the A-Spec Discord, which I'll link below, and there you can go to the releases channel and download the latest version of the mod, as well as X Delta, which we'll use in a little bit to patch the game. You'll also want to download a PlayStation 1 emulator. I used DuckStation and it's worked fabulously so far. You can head to duckstation.org and download the latest Windows version of DuckStation. You'll also need to make sure that you have a NTSC PS1 BIOS for DuckStation to use. The final thing you need is your copy of Gran Turismo 2 as well. You'll need to make sure it's version 1.2, the simulation mode disc, and it needs to be the US NTSC version as well. Now that you've got all that downloaded, you can go to XDelta. You want to select the patch as your A-Spec download file. Mine is A-Spec-v1.0.xdelta. Then you select the source file as the bin file for your copy of Gran Turismo 2, and then you can name your output file as what you'd like. For me, I named it A-Spec-v1.0.bin. Once you click patch, you'll get a brand new copy of Gran Turismo 2 with the mod included, and if you fire up DuckStation, you should be able to open that new file in there, and away you go. I plugged in my PlayStation 4 controller, and DuckStation recognized it straight away, so it seems like that's supported as well. This is a super high level guide for setting this up, so for more information I would look at the actual A-Spec Discord that the modders are using, as well as searching up some guides on how to set up DuckStation yourself. I did have a play around with DuckStation also to get the game looking like chef's kiss good, and I'm not the expert, so feel free to do some looking around YouTube and other places to get your settings that'll work best, but the ones that I found working was to pump the read speed up and seek speed up to 10 times, which will fix the long loading times. And you can also run the internal resolution scale way up to make it 1080p or 4K or even more if you would like. And I would also recommend clicking geometry correction under PGXP, and this will fix all the wobbly wobbles that the PlayStation 1 is known for. So I've had a huge amount of, whoa, okay. Rip mic stand. I'm gonna buy myself a new mic stand for Christmas. So I've had a huge amount of fun playing this mod and getting stuck into GT2 for my first playthrough. The A-Spec mod is fantastic, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it in the future. Go support the modders if you can, and otherwise jump on it and enjoy playing some Gran Turismo 2. If you get a bunch of nostalgia playing this game or other Gran Turismo games, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, and you can subscribe to Overtake for more sim racing videos. Otherwise, I hope you had a great holidays, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.